you've hit some balls in, so you're all good.
Yeah, well.
Should we get a 7
yeah,
now and just
7,
go for the foams?
Perfect.
So what's been going on problem-wise?
Consistency, like, especially with the driving stuff, I just feel like I fall off it quite a lot and it's not consistent.
Yeah. What's the bad shot at the moment?
I would say right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it starting right and going all right?
It was more of a cut because I think I started like overturning everything.
Yeah.
But because from the summer to the winter, I ended up started playing proper trappy, like just playing low everything. Now the winter's come, I was catching things heavy, and it's not running anymore. So I've tried to change to go back upstairs.
Yeah.
And I've just been flaring it out because I was just smothering it, just getting on top of it and just holding it up.
Yeah. Which is a nice shot to have in the back.
And I just love, because I think I just enjoyed playing it. I just end up playing it all the time.
Yeah. It's good to have that shot.
Yeah.
Clear in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what's doing that. And then when the right one comes in, do you ever get any that go then the other way? Like, do you try and counteract it?
Yeah.
Flip it over left.
And flip it over, yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
what I've done the last 2 days is just work. I've just clubbed up and hit an easy shot, and it's just gone straight.
Yeah. There's a lesson there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. When you're just trying to force it, when I see 180 and I think, I'll just try and batter a 7. That's when I either flip it or leave it outright. Yeah. Or if I club up, I'll just hit a soft one in, and it's. Yeah. I think I've had like 7 birdies in the last 2 days just purely from clubbing up and hitting it close to the hole. Yeah. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have a look.
Yeah.
Let's just batter some balls. Yeah. I've just set it up at like 170. Yeah. But to be fair, I don't really care. Yeah. I just want to capture some swings on video and see where we are.
A little couple of loosener.
Yeah.
I'd say that's my bad shot there.
Double plate ready.
Basically, I'm trying to find like elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Of like what's causing the most problems.
Yeah.
Where this is really cool is I can see basically how power starts and how you use it in your golf swing. And there's a couple of things that we're always looking for. Let me just have a good look. There's a lot of kind of conning the camera there, isn't there? As in, like you are turning, but it's quite late.
Yeah.
You've produced some quite high numbers there.
Do you reckon I could produce more though if I got that right hit, like glute through sort of thing?
Yeah, like you thrust forward, don't you?
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Instead of turning.
Like I should at that point see your left bum cheek should be on display. Like it's not even close, is it? Yeah. And then hands just take over massively past. The cool thing is with the ground is we can actually see why that happens, which is really scary, like how good. You can, like look at this on 3D, like I can literally spin around and see like how much you're pushing in certain directions. But like you're generating power though, aren't you? Yeah. So that's where it's like you've got to be relatively careful of like what you want to change in that. Because actually you don't want to cock you up. No, either, do you? I can see where that right shot can come in from.
Yeah. Not because with my right shot is because I'm late.
Yeah, so like with the cool thing with the force plates is like, just to give you the quick one-on-one on this, like, because I think what we're looking at here is basically how you're using the ground to basically start power, like how you generate power from the ground. Everything starts from the ground and works up. And like I always think like TrackMan, amazing bit of kit, probably one of the best out there, like cameras, like we've got one in the roof now, the 4 that we use. They're all really good, but they're only telling me like what's happening. They don't actually tell me like how it's happening or why it's happening. The why is like, think of why as like physical limitations, like what you can and can't do. So we'll check that to see, because if your body can't do it, I mean, you're a really fit guy, so you'd like to think you should be able to do most movements, but we'll check anyway. But it also could be just mental concept of what you think you should be doing. the force plates tell me how you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And that's why these are by far one of the best things I think I've ever bought, because they tell me so much more. It's literally, it's can change coaching completely. And probably out of the last 5 years of these being used, most research, when you've seen most data that's captured, is based off what comes off force plates. It's so important for us to see. But the thing is with it is there are a couple of sequences that I just want to run through with you and show you. But just to give you an understanding why we're doing it first, is like, I don't know if you remember back in school days, like Isaac Newton's like third law, right, in physics, right? I was not very good at physics, but he was like, basically, if you hit the ground with, say, 100 pounds, that basically his third law is there's an equal and opposite reaction that hits you back with 100 pounds. So in other words, if you push into the ground with 100 pounds, that ground reaction force of 100 pounds comes back through your body. And we can measure on here basically 3 forces. We can see laterally, so we can see your weight shift. I can see heel to toe, so how much you're moving this way. And I can also see vertically, so basically how much you're jumping in the swing. And the golf swing is, in a way, a vertical like jump to some people. But more importantly, when those forces are used, and by the way, those forces help us move the club. So those forces that help us go around, those forces that make us go up. What's important is I want to see what you're doing, what your forces are doing. But when those forces come back out of the ground, where they actually, like if I took a middle of a club and I found a balance point, so that's the balance point of the shaft. If I find like the center of mass, which is that balance point there, if I applied a force straight underneath it, the club would just go up into the air, right? If I applied a force to the side of it, it's going to spin. And we can basically, on the force plate, we can measure those forces, but we can measure those twists and turns. And basically it's torque. We're trying to find out how much torque you can create. And you can torque in 3 directions as well, which is what the sequence that I want to get at with you first of all, is we can torque like, we can bend like this. This is called frontal plane torque, which is basically like, I think the TPI guys call it rock and rolling. I think it sounds less scientific than frontal plane torque. There's horizontal, which is this, is basically you twisting. And then finally there's this, which is you basically bending or extending, right? So everyone has a bit of flexion and everyone extends up in the swing. I think you're doing it too early, so you're getting that early extension. And we can see in the ground like why you're doing that, which is why these are so important. But if you were to take the best players in the world and look at their sequence, and we call it kinetic sequence on here, is like if you went to the very top of the swing, the first thing that you see with move is a weight shift. That's the first thing that kind of goes with pretty much every good player. It's very rare you don't see that. Like, I know there's no step in golf, but there's a weight shift. There's definitely a weight shift. Did you see that player on the European Tour, on the DP Tour the other day, that like did that step on his driver? Like, it's coming in. That won't be long when Happy Gilmore is like a proper thing. But that's the first thing that happens. Then they shallow the club, and they do that by getting that frontal plane or that rock and roll going. Then they twist, and then finally they jump. And it happens in that order. There's a shift, a rock, a twist, a jump. So the first thing I want to do is, are you in that order? That would be like the nice way to see. So if you come over here and have a look, I've just put those 4 segments here. So basically when I go through your swing, is if I turn it up to the top, can you see this white dot moving? I've just put a yellow dot at the top of when you peak. So basically the first thing that peaks for you is that weight shift, which is great. Like that's check, like that's first thing done. Second thing that hits is that frontal plane, which is the second thing. Third thing is the horizontal, and then finally is the combined, right? That we fist pump. Because that means that you're in order, right? There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, but at least you're in order to start with, which is amazing. But the thing is with it, is it's not just about timing it well. Like that's a big component. Like if you're not timing it well, there's a different conversation we're about to have. But the fact that you're timing it well is really good. Where you're pushing in the feet and the timing of it is well, it's all important, but that's like really important. So when you look at the timing of it, I want to see that last force should have happened by the time the lead arm is parallel with the ground there. that's where I would expect to see that final force taking place. Because we know that force precedes motion. If you want something to move, you've got to push.
Yeah.
So like if I went to the right, I've got to push off the left to get to the right. I don't move and then push. The force happens first. So we know that it takes time for that force to go through the body and into the club. So if you were to do the last push, say down here, there isn't time for that energy to go through the club and into the thing. So I want to then see, like, when did the last one happen? So if I show you this, this is the last one here. And 190, by the way, is amazing. But if you look at it there, that's where you're parallel to the ground. And you're only there. You haven't peaked on that last one.
That's where you would want me to peak in that.
And it's not at the moment. It's not. But if you look at your vertical force, that last one, like 190% of your body weight is amazing, by the way. Like on tour, it's about 2 times your body weight, so 200%. Like that's a really great, powerful number, and that's basically shown with these lines here. Like the higher these arrows are, the harder you're pushing. Which is great. Which means that you are pushing into the ground really hard. You're just sadly doing it too late. Which is then, if you see when it peaks, you're about...
So when I get to the top of the swing, you want force here?
You should have already done it. So like, you've done it there. So if you think, with your timing-wise, you've literally got to there, and then you've peaked into this... Now, there isn't time now for that energy and that force to go through your body and into the club.
Is that why sometimes I look quite hunched and stuff?
It means that your lower body is not doing... Pretty much anything. Hands and arms are doing it all. What's worrying for me, I guess, is like your legs are your heaviest muscles, your strongest muscles. They're not doing anything in your golf swing. I think the thing that's really exciting with you is like you hit the ball quite a long way with your strongest muscles not doing anything.
I feel like as well when I play other people, like say Ben, he's probably the same distance as me, but I feel like I swing a lot more powerful than him.
You should be creating a lot more power, like a lot more power. There's a lot of force going into the grounds, like a lot of force, and you're in order. So like I always say, like fast crap is still crap. Like if you try and, sorry, it's not, but like if you're out of order, if you're not in sequence, you swinging faster is not going to achieve anything. How many times do you hear someone say like, oh, when I slow down, it all works, and you're like, well, it might not be in order in the first place, and you've just given yourself a little bit more time. But the thing is like I was saying, is that timing of it, and the timings for you are everything is late. So although it's in order, it's late to the party. So it's kind of pointless, and not pointless, but it's pretty much just like there isn't time for it to be used. So I would like to see you getting onto that left side quicker and faster.
At the top of my swing, would you jump onto it?
Yeah, good question. As in like the timing of it. Yeah, so when you're actually on that force plate and we're measuring that, you know, like I was saying about when we get that weight shift, like that actually happens with some of the best players in the world at about 0.24 seconds before impact, which basically takes it just before that transition, before it comes down, right? So it's the first thing that shifts. If you think about it, you don't start moving your arms and then shift. You want to feel like that's the driver. Then you get that rock and roll. That happens literally about 0.15 seconds before impact. So it's literally a fraction of a second later. Then the twisting occurs about 0.13 before impact. But the big one, the big one, is that lead arm parallel. And that's about 0.08 seconds before impact. So I try and think everything that I'm trying to do with the ground, the last force, that vertical force where you're pushing up the most, is happening there. At the moment for you, it's happening there. Which means that it's more for you, sadly, it is more arms that are taking over. And then you push up really well afterwards. Like you hold a good pose for the camera. Yeah. You'd be good if you go and play at BMW in the Wentworth Pro-Am. You'll look good on the first tee. But actually, if they slow you down, the golf ball only cares what happens at impact, really. Like, and if it's not right, we could do with improving it. The big one I just want to say to you is like whereabouts on the foot is massively important when it comes to this. And you go ever so slightly onto the outside of your toe that way.
What on the way back down?
On the
Oh,
backswing.
the back. I said like kind of
So good players, like for that point of application of where you're pushing, should be feeling more. It's on the inside of the heel, and it wants to be pushing like it's going backwards.
Yeah.
So like if I use one of my sliders here, just one of the gym sliders, I think this is a really good idea to see. Is like if I was to make a push back, I want to feel like that's happening.
Right, okay.
Like if you were on ice, did you ever see that video of the guy hitting a ball off ice before?
No.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's
Right.
hilarious. I'm assuming he survived based on
Yeah.
the fact that the video went out there. But if you watch, if I want to rotate my hips that way, the ground would go the opposite. So on ice, you would have that would happen, that would happen, and then that's why he falls over. But you wouldn't do that because you're basically pushing like that.
Yeah.
And I want to change that to feel like the slide happens for you. It's going, it's going back towards almost 430. So if you put that just under your foot, you can do this. Like, don't hit balls with it, but just feel like as you take the club away, I want you to feel like you're squeezing into the inside of the foot.
Quite a lot of weight still here.
Try not. It's a good question, but try not to think of it as weight. Just so, especially when you're using this, you're trying to use force to push you away. That's it. And it wants to feel like it's going at about 430 on a clock face. I know that feels weird because obviously you're sliding, but if you were doing this at home, like just take your shoe off, do it on wooden floor and you can really see. But like if you move that away for a second and now take it up to the top and I try and add a bit of friction in, now all of a sudden, like you push against me now, go and push as hard as you can, push. Like honestly, that's powerful. But that's you loading, ready to unload. If you're not loading in the correct way, if you're going onto your toe, unfortunately you then move over and sway off to it. When you push back, the force just going straight through your body. And I want it to feel like the force is going towards the target, which means it's a better load. And it's not just because I say you're trying to go to the target, it's not us just pushing at say 3 o'clock. We're going at like 430 because it's a rotation. It's a rotational weight shift. So if you do that again and hold it up to the top and stop, go on, push against me really hard. Go on. That's you. Before you've even started the swing, getting a proper push. Like if you put a force pedal, I love these things, like just straight under in the inside of the foot. And I want you to feel like as you're taking that club up, you're squeezing down and pushing back that way. You would think, and I see a lot of people using these online, and they're honestly, these pedals are amazing. But if you're rolling that way, you would think you'd put it on the outside of the foot to kind of stop you. But it's kind of, you're feeding a fault. You're feeding the problem, aren't you? I would much prefer you going the opposite side. So you feel this like I'm squeezing down and pushing back that way. Because that's what I want you to feel. Like, do that again. Really feel like you're squeezing and ready to push. That's you learning a proper load. And if you load well, by definition, hopefully it means you can unload well. Could you hit a couple, like with that feeling, just for a second? Honestly, I think you're going to be shocked how much power we can get out of you.
That felt better, that.
Like, I think, honestly, you're not
using
any
different, but that
Can you
felt,
hit a couple? Let's film from all over. I do want to work on both feet. Like we need to work on both feet.
That's
But I
fine.
think if I get you pushing really hard on the left, the problem is you've not pushed off the right first.
Right, okay.
So like if you're over that, if you push hard this way, you're just going to go back. And that doesn't really help you really. Swing looks tidy, mate. Really, really good. That for me, I think, is where you need to start from a feel point of view. Of like, there needs to be a better push here to get a better push back. But you have to have. Can I just swap with you for just a second? Like, if I took a pole like this, right? Imagine if I wanted this, my hips, and I'm trying to rotate my hips as fast as I can to the target. at the moment, you're not rotating your hips very well. You're doing it like you're coming back to here where they're level, arms take over, and then you move your hips. But because of where you're pushing in the ground, you're not helping yourself do that. So like, imagine if I was like, imagine I had like 2 rugby players, like 2 props who were going to help me. If I had this pole going literally straight through my pelvis like this, and I had 1 prop there and 1 prop there, if they ran at me as fast as they could and ran into this pole, there's no way I'm going forwards, am I? Or it's definitely I'm not rotating. I'm literally just going to go straight back. But if I kept that guy there and I moved him around there, if he ran at me as hard as he could and pushed here, if he ran at me as hard as he could and pushed there, and they did that at the same time, I would literally just spin. Well, we haven't got 2 rugby players, but we've got the ground that can help us with that. And I think the key there is like understanding of where you're pushing on the way back and where you're pushing on the way through. Because if you can do it at the same time, you get what's called a force couple and you just spin. And that's why these force pedals are so good. Because if I put one on either side, just put one just inside, just towards your heel, and the other one just on the big pad of the toe, like the 2 toes here, the big pad there. And I want you to feel like we're trying to get this feeling of doing it together, right? So as you're loading back, you're pushing back towards kind of 430 on a clock face, but you're squeezing down inside the heel, pushing that way. That's basically then allowing the ground reaction force to push you back, not only lit towards the target, but it's starting the rotation from that hip. That's basically that prop throwing you this way. But you need that force couple. You need this guy to do his job. And actually this one, we're trying to push more onto the balls of our feet. I think this one, you definitely on this left leg, you push harder to get it to go back. But I want it to feel like this is going towards almost like 1030 on a clock face. So you've got 430 and 1030. They're basically now the ground's pushing you back to help you spin. You need to do both. You can't just have one without the other. Like if you just push massively hard on the left without pushing off the right, you're just going backwards. And that doesn't help. We need both to be working to get that couple.
I think I do that fall back onto it.
Let's get you on these first of all, and like, because I think this is going to give you a bigger kind of uplift of what it's going to feel like. But if you do it without the ball for just a second, you see what I mean about like it feels a bit uncomfortable, a little bit unbalanced? Just move this one a little bit further forward. Like I much prefer if people fail, they fail more towards the heel than the toe. But I want you to really think it's inside and it's pushing back that way. That was you, like I was saying, pushing really hard against. But now I want the thought to go to left leg and push and let it go back that way.
Right, okay.
Look at your hips when you do that, by the way. As soon as you get a good push into that left leg, one, it's very hard to slide, which occasionally you do, if you're pushing hard enough off that left. That's you learning to use the ground correctly. The hard thing is trying to do 2 things at once. You are a bloke. Like I struggle with it. I struggle with one. But your hips have just rotated. That's not something that you're used to. Can you come on here for a second and just practice this? Because I think actually on a slider, and like I said, you can do this at home just with like take your shoes off on wooden floors. It's just getting used to the feeling of that happening towards sort of 1030 with that left foot. So you've got this one going back towards 430. But now I want you to work on this left foot because this is the powerhouse leg.
So just out there.
And it's coming out towards me this way. That's it. But try if you can, like take it to the top of the swing. So rock them to the top, real feel it's a push that way. That's it. Does that feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Can you see how you want to go out to the side? Like I really want it to try and feel like it's going towards that 10. That's it. Yeah, nice. Go on, do that again. Turn up to the top and push. But now watch this, like take that away. Now add just some friction from the ground.
So just go
push. Can you feel a difference in that? Like that's you, honestly, getting used to feeling that happening.
This bum kind of pushing backwards.
It goes back, That's you learning to use the ground to get you out of your own way. Something you don't do at the moment. Can you try that without the pedals there for a sec?
You hit one?
Yeah, please. I think you're going to be shocked of what you could produce in your swing.
Right.
We honestly, like from just you practicing, I think we definitely should start with point of application of where you're pushing on the foot and the direction. So like if you're pushing away, it feels so much more complicated than it actually is after a couple of times. Like you can instantly feel what that is. And those force pedals are amazing for that, by the way, because just they're easy to carry in your bag and you can like you can just use them on the driving range just to give you that clear understanding. It's almost like a launch pad kind of to work. But you have to, sadly for you, it's both.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of people do really well with just one on the right. Yours isn't, like your whole legs aren't doing anything. So like I say with those rugby players, we need them both doing their thing, don't we? Oh mate, you are gonna love this. I hope the biggest problem you have is you haven't got a Scooby-Doo what your distances are. No. But the thing is, like, just because it gets more powerful, it doesn't mean you have to use it. And you could dial it back and work on control, couldn't you? You don't have to. But it's quite nice. I much prefer to have it in the tank than not. Yeah. The problem with a lot of golfers is they haven't got it in the tank in the first place. Then they try and hit it harder and hope something happens, something good happens. Do you know you early extend? Have you heard that phrase before? No. Can I just show you what that is? Like, you'll be Googling it later. Yeah. Ben told me I'm early extending. All right, basically, like most golfers, and it's kind of like the 80% rule, like you could win a major without, but most golfers do this. Like if I was to take my normal setup and just draw a line like straight down my tailbone down, most golfers at the top of their swing, their right pocket, back pocket is touching that line. Right. So they're loading into that right side nicely. Like you're coming away slightly because you're loading onto that toe. So you're moving, if you think this is how you set up to the golf ball, but you've already moved towards the golf ball. But what makes matters worse is as you're coming down towards impact, your lower body's going forwards before you make contact with the ball. So you're not seeing this hip rotation that's going backwards. Your lower body is thrusting forwards. And the thing is, I always try and look for is like, if you think of my lower body and the handle here, we've got this nice space between here and here. In an ideal world, I don't want you to feel like you're invading that space. Because the problem I see with that is energy basically is going in the wrong direction. Like I always like this feeling that my belt buckle is clearing out of the way to get this nice release pass. My lower body, my upper body, everything should be open at the point of contact here with my hands ahead. You're not currently. You're literally thrusting forwards. Your lower body's in the way stopping and your hands are taking over. So what happens for you is you either get this block out to the right, which is what you're seeing, or you get so fed up with that you start flipping your hands at it and you get two shots, but you get two-way miss. What makes matters worse is you're going forwards and a little bit back as well. So it's hard to control low points. So like strike is off massively. But again, like if I set the club here and I move forward like two golf balls, it's amazing you hit the ball. But it's, sorry, I'm not having a knock and say, but it shows that you've got good enough hand-eye coordination to like correct it. But I don't want you to have to correct it. You're making the job so much harder than it needs to be. And it all starts with you with this that push off the right to get the hips starting to turn. But the left leg needs to be a bigger push backwards that way. That's what gives you that clearance and goes out the way. If I was to, like, let's say I was going to punch you. I'm not going to punch you, by the way. But if I was going to punch you one, I would want my weight to just go back and through like that. That's what I'd like. But imagine if I did that and I went forward and then I could punch that all day long. It'd be hilarious because it's all arms. The real scary thing is you're hitting the ball a really long way with your lower body going in the wrong direction. And actually it's pretty much not doing anything, which means you're only hitting the shots that you're doing with your arms and your hands, which is crazy, but that excites me like a lot, because actually imagine what you could do if you can get body going more towards the target. I'm not saying you need that, but have to put that power in, but it's good to have it in the bank. But more importantly, it means the hands can then do their job, which is to control the club face. Because at the moment your hands are trying their hardest to try and square the club face up the best it can, but they're also trying to generate power because your body's not. Whereas I want to turn that on its head. I want your body to be the driving source of it, so the hands can do their job, which is controlling the club face. Because I think you will be shocked of how far you could hit the ball if you wanted to. That's a nice thing to be.
If it happens, it happens. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
I'd rather have it in my locker than
it has to happen, actually. Like, it can't not. Like, your body's going in the wrong direction and you're still hitting it okay. I think for you, especially when we looked on your ground reaction force of what's going on there, like, the feet are the problem to start with. Let's just give a better understanding of where that load is. But I just want to work a little bit harder on the left, because I don't like it when you do that as well. That's basically you not, like, imagine throwing a ball and like your lower body sliding out. It would be really strange, wouldn't it? I want to feel like there is a jump that happens. There is a clearance that we're trying to get. And the fact with you is, like, you're doing some half decent forces with the ground, but it's late. It means we just need to put them in earlier, don't we? So I want the first feeling at the very top of the swing for you. When you change direction, there's the big push into this left toe, and it's got time now to push clear out of the way, which pushes hips back to then deliver the club how you want. At the moment, you're not pushing until about there. There isn't time to then clear out of the way before you hit the ball. So I think one of the ways we should do that is, let's just put a feel in of how that feels, first of all, and then let's do some drills to, like, help. Can if you put the club for me behind your back, and if you, just like that, and if you put it just below on your, literally above where bum is, like belt line. If I put that club behind here, if you put it just down ever so slightly, if you go into golf posture for me, what I want you to do is, like, if I'm going to pull you down with this, right, but I want you to really resist me and push the other way. So if you do that for me for a second, go on, push. I'm forcing. Right, I don't want to win. I want you to really feel like you're comfortably pushing with the right point of that toe and pushing back. So go on, turn. That's what I want it to feel like. That's a feeling of you going that way. I used to, a long time ago, like, do that the other way and, like, trying to give people the feeling. But what it does, that's not helping them in a way, because I'm helping them. I want them to help themselves by pushing out of the way. You have to feel what you're trying not to do. And I think sometimes by me resisting, you can feel yourself going forward, can't you? So what are you doing? You're working against me. Can you try a few swings? Well, I just want you to focus on left leg to start with. Big push into that left toe, but I want you to do it at the top of the swing. So just from here, push, post back. Yeah.
Can we try and hit one?
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing with this for you, like, if you were filming yourself, just film yourself from down the line. Like, get a camera and put it down the line on a driving range. Just put it straight through your hands, just so you could comfortably draw a line from tailbone down. You have to get the camera angles right. Like, if you were to the left or to the right, you'd either look really good or really bad, depending on where you've put it. So, like, just keep them the same. And it's just easier to keep the camera like I've got them here, like they're literally on hip height, and just pointing straight through your hands. And it just means that when you're drawing that line, it's the same every single time. Because I want you, when you watch yourself, if you get better, you actually know you got better. You haven't just conned the camera. I see too many people. I get sent videos of someone like, I've cracked it. I'm like, no, you haven't. You filmed from the wrong angle, hoping. I've done this a long time. Like, please don't try and think you can get something past me. If you're going to fail on this, a fail would be for me where you've pushed so hard you actually do that.
Right, okay.
Like, but that would be a great problem.
Yeah.
That would be an awesome problem to have because it means that you're not thrusting forward this way. You're clearing out of the way and going back. Out of curiosity, how did that feel?
I felt all right. I was a bit skinny, but it felt.
Yeah, I don't mind that to start with.
Just trying to force it back.
Yeah, which is fine, by the way. Like, that's you learning a new feel. A lovely little drill. Do you have alignment sticks in your bag?
We've got one, I think.
Yeah, cool. Like, if I got mine out,
Yeah.
a nice little feel is if I put, at the moment, like if I put an alignment stick like this, what I want to see is if I put it like that through, your belt buckle is trying to follow that line across to the left.
Yeah.
At the moment, you're basically going that way. And I want it to feel like you're doing that to clear yourself out of the way. But you can't con the camera here.
Yeah.
The conning the camera would be like you just almost dropping you back this way. That doesn't count. Like, you've got to, like when I was resisting you, it's a push to get the push back. That's not faking it. That's just making sure you've done it the right way by getting that good push and then clearing out of the way.
Yeah.
Can you try that on here just to do a feel? So just take it up to the top and stop. And I want to feel there's a big push into that left toe before that lead arm gets down to parallel there.
Okay.
Now you have time to, that ground reaction to push you back, clear your hips to deliver the club nicely.
Right.
Now all of a sudden your left back pocket is behind you.
Yeah.
That's the complete opposite of what it was. Right. But do that again, that feel, do that again, sorry, turn up to the top. It's there. And now if I hold you back slightly, push into that left toe and now pull me down. That's the feeling, yeah?
Okay.
You're pushing, posting.
Yeah, right.
I like that drill with an alignment stick just because it gives your brain the idea of what's trying to happen. And if you watch a lot of big hitters at the moment, like Bryson, or a lot of the, a lot of the big hitters, they actually move that way, don't they? Some of the long drive guys, they actually, well, most of them go airborne. They come off the ground. To come off the ground, they have to have pushed into the ground hard enough to get that jump.
Yeah.
As in, no one levitates, do they?
Yeah.
I love that.
That felt more.
Yeah. You can tell, right? You can see you doing it. I mean, obviously we're watching on camera, but that's you clearing your hips out of the way. That's basically you putting your strongest muscles into the actual, into your swing.
I think that's the biggest one with pit stuff,
yeah. Mate, it's 10 yards further. Like, and we'll take 10 yards further. Can you do that drill with me for this, just on the left? That's what I mean. I don't think you're close to understanding like how far you could hit it if you put the right feels in. So I just want it to be like it sometimes helps just flaring that foot out slightly to start with, but I want you to feel like move it a bit more in. It's really on that big pad. And if you take it up to the top and stop for me again. Yeah, stop there. It's at that point, I want to feel like that's where you've done that big push. So if you push in there now, push, now turn me down, look how much your lower body is then turning out of the way. Like, do that again, but without me doing it. Just at the top, stop, push, and then just really feel like, look at your lower body. That's completely different. That's you clearing out of the way. Giving yourself some space to deliver the club how you like.
When I get to the top, I get more in the pocket sort of thing to get out of that.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people think that they feel quite trapped.
Yeah.
They get kind of stuck when they're doing it. But if you think you get stuck because you've invaded that space, haven't you?
I kind of like that feeling. I've been like on the way back down.
Well, now your arms and club have got room.
Yeah.
Haven't they? They've got space to move. It's really strange, like practicing with pedals.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying like I'm kind of. It's the feeling that you're trying to trap.
Yeah.
Of just it's almost that starting thing of that's the push and that's the push back. Once you have that a couple of times, you'll soon get it nailed. Do you mind if I show you a little drill?
Yeah.
Do you like doing drills on the range?
Yeah, I prefer to do that than just endlessly hit the ball.
Yeah, nice, nice. The thing is with the drill, like you want to, like I always think a driving range is a perfectly safe place to hit some bad shots. Like don't, people get really precious, I think, sometimes when they're on a driving range. If you're going to the driving range to improve something, it's okay for it to go backwards slightly, but you should always see some improvement. If it's going constantly backwards, please stop what you're doing because clearly something's not working. But it's like if you hit the odd bad shot, it's not like, oh, it's not working. Actually, maybe you just haven't done it yet and it hasn't had time. But I always think if you are hitting it badly to start with, that's probably a good thing too. It means that you actually probably are changing something, doesn't it? If you're doing the same, you're probably hitting it exactly the same way and that doesn't help anybody. But a lovely little drill to do with the pedal is actually just do a nice little step drill onto it. So take the club, as you're taking the club up to the top here, I want you to just take a step onto that and I just go forward onto that pad, which sounds counterproductive, I know, because you're going forward. But what it's doing is it's teaching your brain to go forward, to load correctly, but more importantly, to push out of the way. And it's in that push out of the way that you generate that space. So it just looks like this. Do it without a ball to start with. As you're taking the club up, and you can do it slowly to start with, just find the pad, push, turn. It feels like you're going forward, and I want you to enjoy that feeling. But imagine if there was a brick wall here. For me to go that way, I need to push against the wall that way for me to go that way. You can't cheat it. If I push that way, well, actually, I'm only going to go that way, aren't I? Remember what I said about those rugby players? We want that guy there and that guy there. This is that guy pushing into the wall to give you that pushback. That's a really nice drill to do to start with, of just using the pedal. But what you can also do is without the pedal there, is if you think like we're trying to get some space between here and here, right? The cop out which I see people do online and like when I see them on the golf course or on the driving range is they go, well, I'm early extending, I'm invading that space, so I'll cheat, I'll stand further away. Right, I see that all the time, right? The problem I've got with that, and that to be fair, if it's having a really bad day, that's quite a good quick fix on a golf course, but that's long term, that's only going to make things worse because now you've got more room to invade, haven't you? If anything, I like you to come even closer to it, come ridiculously close to the ball, like literally so you're pretty much touching. So you have to move out of the way. That's quite a nice way of like tricking your brain into going the opposite way. But it's funny to start with. Like do a couple of shots where you're ridiculously close and just watch your brain panic because there's no way you're going to want to move forward, are you? No. You're going to want to try and get this feeling of lower body going back that way to give you that clearance. Just mindful when you do that the first couple of times because people over here might not be safe. But if you're struggling, like to start with, just do them slowly. But like give yourself space and think we're trying to get out of the way.
Is this close?
Do you feel like you're close?
I feel like
yeah, you are close, yeah. But that's good, right? Because you've got no room to move forward. You have to move out of your way now. It's forcing you to do the opposite. I tell you what, that was not a bad shot considering.
I think that's so very good.
It's the closest one to the pin. The thing is with that though, that is a drill. And the reason I want it to be a drill is that I want that to become, I don't want you to go from one problem to another. Like I much prefer you just to nail it, but to be clear, like you're trying to get this feeling that you're moving out of the way. You're giving yourself space. So we're watching a second of what you did, but that's a really nice way of feeling what I'm trying to feel. Should we film and see? You're like, why didn't you film that one? That was great. Here, let me click the buzzer. Right, so whenever she says she's ready,
So what
then...
am I just doing?
well, let's try and do a normal swing now. See if we can trap that feeling and put it into real life. So as soon as she says pressure plate ready, then go for it.
Double plate ready.
How did that feel?
That felt good. I think seeing it go left a bit is actually okay for now.
Say that again. What, the golf ball, seeing it go left?
Yeah.
That's, you know what, that's a good point.
Like I'm clearing my body too.
That is a very good point, right? If you think of it at the moment, you're going like that. The club's getting kind of trapped and it's stuck this way and going out to the right. So yeah, if it's changed, obviously we're watching your path now, we can see it's changing.
I used to flip my hands a lot, so I don't know if I'm getting into the right position, but still flipping my hands.
Exactly. Think of it at the moment, like your hands are trying, like they're the compensation to try and fix it.
Yeah.
Well, what should happen is you should start seeing a little bit to the left to start with, because your hands are still trying to fix it.
Yeah.
But then we just need to manage your hands out, give you better club face control, and then personally, I don't think most people don't need to do that. Like the compensations, once they're not needed, seem to fizzle out a little bit. Occasionally you need to give a couple of drills just to feel it, but actually the brain is pretty good, I always think, of like trying to fix something, and if it doesn't have to fix it, it will stop. Right, look, you've actually moved, you can see that behind that line. More importantly, look at that. That's so much better, isn't it? That's such a better release of power. That's you going backwards this way, giving you that clearance.
I think once we get that heel up, all of it will come through. I think it's just stuck there because this foot's stuck on the ground.
Yeah, just let it. Thing is, if you've got all your weight onto the left side, it doesn't need to be on there. Does it? You can comfortably get it off. I think what would be really helpful is just to give you this feeling at the top of the swing. Have you ever been on one of these balls?
No.
The downshift ball, like this. Honestly, these guys are class, right? It's basically, it's like a little seesaw, and it just gives you this feeling of where to push, like another timing of it. Can I borrow your club for a second? Like, and what I want you to feel like when you're on here is basically like to be fair, like pretty much all good players start on their front foot, especially with an iron, because you think, like we were just doing on the force plates, you push off the right to get to the back foot, right? You don't start on the right. That's not what good players do. They have that push off, and you think the golf swing is nice and dynamic. You are trying to get it moving. But what I want you to feel is, let's start on that left side, feeling like you're pushing off to load up to the top. But before you change direction, I want you to feel like you've started the swing with a big push into the left. And for you, as you know, it's that left toe is what we're after. I don't want the swing to kind of start and then you go. Like, imagine, I see it with people like trying these for the first time. It feels really odd, but like it wouldn't if you were throwing a ball. Like if you were throwing a ball, you wouldn't start the throw and then move, would you? Your body would move before the arms move, and that's kind of, it's not what's happening with you. Like I want it to feel like it's the change of direction is there. That's the feeling. As it's going back, you're getting that big push, so you've got time to clear out of the way. Can you try that for us? So feel like you're starting on front foot, take it back up to the top. And I kind of, I try to think of it as all body mass going. Try and think of it as like you pushing into the ground. You see how that feels a bit weird to start with?
And then like that.
Yeah, like if I hold you the club up, so you go up to the top and stop, I want it to feel from basically from here, when you go from this position here to down back to that position, you've done it all. So sorry, if you go up to the top again and stop, take it up to the top. At that position there, I want the first feeling to be a big push into that left toe. Remember, it's the left toe for you, because we're going back from toe to heel and turn through. But that's you learning to punch the target. And imagine if I was trying to punch you and I like do what you're doing, thrust forward. That shouldn't feel that uncomfortable, but it's funny that it is. It shows how strange of a motion it is for you to do. Go on, do a few rehearsal swings, like just cross your arms or swing the club up and just get used to that feeling of as you take it to the top, big push, turn through. That's so much better. So much better. Can you try and do that on the mat? It's going to feel strange. But remember, I like strange. It means that something's happening. Push and turn. Go on, do that again. Stop at the top. And I really want to feel like if I'm up here holding it, you're getting that good push. And now feel like your lower body's turning, rotating, and pulling me down that way. That's so different from what you're experiencing at the moment. Yeah, do that again. Let's stop at the top. Yeah, like it's there at that point. I want to feel like you're getting that big push and turn me through. Turn, 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 turn. And look how much your lower body is then just cleared out of the way. That's honestly, for you, that's massive. Push, turn. Go on, go for it. You'll be worn out after this, won't you? So, did you play 18 holes as well today?
Yeah, I just.
I like that as a rehearsal for you. Mate, do you know why I like that? It's because when you finished, your toe's off the ground like that. So by definition, if that toe is up, you're on your heel. You're not still on your toe going that way. That's a nice telltale sign without using plates that you're doing it. Just make sure if you like, let's say you had a camera down here, like looking at a foot in slow motion. I don't want you to feel like if that's happened before the club comes past, that's you kind of cheating it. It wants to feel there's a push and it's rolling back as the club's coming through. Or it can be like I've seen a lot of people do where they're still on their toe because they've gone forward, they haven't pushed hard enough, they've hit it and then they've looked good afterwards. That, again, that doesn't help, that's just you conning the camera. Especially when you're talking about those forces, like you've just got your, you've just cleared out of the way better without thinking about how to get yourself out of the way better, which is, for me, is a better way of doing it. Like, I want you to really feel how to do that. And the big word there is how to do it. It's not what's happening, it's how it happens. That's you learning how to get out of your way. If you put that into the real swing, if you think about it, you generate space, you've got some better clearance, you've put your body, your strongest muscles into play. Now we just enjoy and turn through and look good for camera. Could I just show you a little release drill, which I think might be needed as you've stiffed it. It doesn't. It's like
it should, like I was doing it more because I didn't hit that well.
Right, yeah.
Ahead, you know what I mean?
As in, you still got some distance in. The thing is, like, if you were standing here for a second, like, if I just got like a little. If I just use like a little pedal just in front, and I call this like a nice little release drill. If you put like a tee or something, just a couple of feet just in front of the ball, what I want you to do is just experience what your body is trying to do at the point of impact. So what I like to do is just take a normal setup, clear my hips and chest so they're pointing down towards that pedal, and it's only just a couple of feet in front. And then actually just do some swings where you're working up to the swing, just hovering against above the ball, turning and we're coming back to that place. So you can see my hips, chest, everything is pointing in front. Do that a couple of times just to really feel like what that release feels like. Because actually, if I move the club back now, that's what impact should look like. You should have cleared out of the way. Your hips should have cleared, the hands should be ahead of the golf ball. It shouldn't be returning how you started, which is weird to think we start that way, but we return a different way. Like, you never start with a hammer not behind the nail. That's kind of what we're doing here. Like imagine if you started the hammer here and you try to make a different impact position, your poor thumb would be really weak strikes. That's kind of what's happening here. You're starting like this, returning like that. Well, I always think if impact is wrong, like yours is, just some impact drills where you actually just take it there, turn into that nice release where you've gone through, practice with the hands ahead, just getting used to that position, and just do some rehearsal swings coming back to that nice place, and then just releasing the club through to there. And then actually we can hit one with it, just clear the hips, hands ahead, and return back. If that's closer than you, we're walking out the door and going to the pub. Come on, and that was a drill as well. It's too far. Does that make sense though? Like I think what I'm just trying to make sure is like you've just practiced what you're trying to get into, not just hitting golf balls trying to feel that. Actually, like what does it mean to actually clear the hips out of the way and get into that nice position there? Can you see that is different, right? That is a different feeling, and that's you then releasing that club through. Bear in mind, like whenever I talk about release, I'm thinking I'm trying to release power at the golf ball. Like the last thing you want to do is release that energy and that power that you've built up in your backswing early. Because by definition, you're then slowing down to the ball. I want to feel like you're like cracking a whip. You're trying to crack the whip at impact, aren't you? Why on earth would you want to do it early?
Exactly.
That is a nice rehearsal for you to do on the golf course as well.
No, it is. I can feel stuff here that I've never felt before.
Okay, I don't want to injure you like before you go and play next. Have you noticed like instantly every time you've done that, that foot's come off the ground too? Like
without even thinking as well.
How did that feel?
That felt flush.
Yeah, it was. Mate, honestly, that was class.
Yeah.
It's good, this game, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is, I think for you, you've just got a couple of things the wrong way around. I think there's so much of a thought of like trying to hit the golf ball, as opposed to you thinking that your body is getting out of the way to then allow you to hit the golf ball better. Like you're generating, like I said, that more space. If you're getting too trapped and cramped here because you've invaded that space, it's just your arms. And like if you ever hit me with just your arms, honestly, I'd be laughing at you all day long. Because it's not helping.
When I have a bad day, it's bad. And that's obviously why, because of the time's over.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, like your hands are trying to correct it. But what if the hand-eye coordination is not working that day, or you're not quite saving it or correcting it? Then it's a tough day. And I'm like, I think for you, you get your body moving better. The hands, like they say, can do their job of controlling that club face, which then just keeps the whole game so much easier to do. And it means that you're putting more. There's no wonder, by the way, why you like to hit that knockdown shot. Like when you said that to me, that was the first thing I thought about. It's because with a knockdown shot, you're trying to get your upper body to get over it a bit more. That's probably why you like doing it. It's getting you down. Because the other thing with early extension, it's your lower body that's extending that way, right? That's basically what's coming in early. It does move up, the body does move up, but early extension is called early because it's happening early. Well, actually, another way to try and fix it is not so much to think about lower back pocket going back this way, but actually if your chest goes down, look what happens to my bum. It goes out, doesn't it? But you have to remember, it's not just doing this, because that's just adding another problem in. It's rotating that way. It's why that kind of like tiger stinger, I love playing that shot, like when your chest gets really on top of it this way. But what that does is it pushes you back, pushes bum back, and gives you that nice space and that nice clearance. Just practice some tiger stingers on the range, but do it from a feeling of here at the top. It's almost like left shoulder's going down before you push out of the way. It's not you doing.
When I do that, come thinking about it now, when I get there, I'm already on my front foot when I'm trying to hit that.
You have to, yeah. It's the opposite of what you just did on here, isn't it? Has that been useful, mate?
No, it's been very good, yeah.